You still start with the head?
I almost always start with the head because I didn't today. I just thought I'd get into your feet because we did it yesterday. But starting with the head is just, it helps the mind relax. If you get, well, you can just see as soon as I got into your toe, it was just, I was hitting your overwhelming, you know? So to avoid that reaction of it's overwhelming, I can relax the conscious mind and get you into a more deeper, because when your mind is like moving around and a lot of thoughts and stuff, it's not as good as when you're deep breathing. So, but a lot of people find it difficult to deep breathe if their mind is active, you know? So a head massage has one of the benefits of just trying to calm that chattering mind, you know, if we want to call it that, you know? And then just getting a person deep breathing into their belly, into their heart. And especially, you know, we were talking about the Vata constitution and stuff, you know? It's a big thing for Vatas because a lot of energy goes to the head very quickly, you know? Yeah. And then if the head is what I call filled with energy, you know, whether it be the Vata element or whatever, which it feels like it is with you because there's just so much tension through here, then it's kind of like it doesn't, what I'm stirring up in the feet, instead of actually coming out, you know, through your belly and your head, it just gets jammed like a big traffic jam of shit to move, you know? And then it's impossible because you're just like feeling like it's too much, you know? And that's the same with everybody. So just take a deep breath right into your belly. Yeah, there's a lot going on up here. Pressure okay?
Yeah.
And having a tight jaw also, like it does tend to be associated with people that are like kind of not saying what they think, or maybe not expressing even like a scream, you know? You know, and that could be what I call it, you know, a thought virus, like, hey, you know, either you were told to shut the fuck up when you were a kid, or, you know, your opinion doesn't matter, or, you know, or anger is bad, you know what I mean? Whereas to me, the healthy use of anger sometimes is to create boundaries, you know, and be able to tell people to fuck off when they need to, you know. So I'm not sure your exact, you know, situation, but I can just feel so much tightness right in there, you know. Some people associate the left side with your feminine side and the right side with the masculine side, you know. Your left side seems actually worse. Just like, that's just what I call kind of shocking, right there. Yeah, I don't want to overwork it. Yeah, this music is so nice.
Yeah.
This is some mantra meditation that Mike or Mahamantras and I do together. If anybody's interested, it's called Yadu. The lead singer is Yadu, but is there a band name?
No, I think it's Yadu and Friends.
Yadu and Friends, yeah. I'll put a link in the description for anybody interested. It's spiritual sounds. Gives Mike something to focus on while I'm torturing the fuck out of him. There's a saying in the Vedas, Aham Brahmasmi, I am spirit, not matter. That's how people can understand chi better too, when you understand that. What is life energy, difference in a living and a dead body. I always say, well, first of all, dead bodies don't pay, but if you massage a dead body, rigor mortis sets in. There's no actual softening that you can do, which is interesting. So it's one of the characteristics of having life in a body that we can get that softness. That's the whole basis of most ancient forms of massage, whether it be Chinese, Japanese, Thai, a lot is moving the life force through these channels, whether they be called meridians or send lines or subos or, well, subos are pressure point, but nadis, Ayurveda. They all describe the ancient channels that life force moved through. It's kind of like the equivalent of blood vessels, but on a more subtle level. Ayurveda talks about the levels of being of a human being, or the not levels, but I don't know what you call it. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego, and ego being the real self. So massage, first of all, we work on the earth, and that can be the skeleton, that can be some of the muscles. The muscles kind of start to merge into the water element because they've got the blood, which is the water element as well as sweat and everything. What's more subtle to that is the air, the ether. So in Ayurveda, the vata element relates to both air and ether. And ether is where air exists in, or is outside, like what's outside of our Earth's atmosphere. It's not quite the same. The Ayurvedic interpretation of ether is not exactly the same as modern science's view of it, but it's a subtle substance, more subtle than air. And then even more subtle is the mind, intelligence, the idea that we are this, false ego means the idea that we are this body. And with all of that comes what I call the thought viruses, because sometimes when we think we are the body, we can think I'm white, I'm black, I'm male, and it can lead to different problems, really. There's a saying the Japanese have that if the nail sticks out, hammer it down, and what they mean by that is if you don't act the way they define to be Japanese, especially if you are racially Japanese, they let what they call gaijin get away with anything, but if you're racially Japanese, you're expected to behave in a certain way that they define as being Japanese. So some of which can be good. Some of the Japanese, attitudes can be full of respect, and I have a lot of respect for Japanese culture, but sometimes they can also be very dangerous, like World War II, where it's like people had to follow what they were told and not question. And that can be like a thought virus. The same in Australia, same in America. I'm familiar with Australian culture, my father being a 6th generation Australian, so there's a lot of stuff I see as thought viruses in Australia. Men don't cry. Sometimes it's women shouldn't be angry, but then they get passive aggressive. So a lot of things, instead of a person just being true to their heart. The heart in Ayurveda is where the soul sits, the Atma. And it's where our conscience is. And we can decide what's right, what's wrong. In Ayurveda, they talk about the Sushumna, which is a central energy channel that connects the 7 chakras, which roughly locates along the spine and right up into the neck and into the very top area here. And a lot of what I do with massage or massage therapy is to open up not just the meridians or sen lines or nadis, but actually focus a lot on that connection between those 7 chakras. Because a lot of people have energetic blockages, and interestingly enough, that often relates to the spine on the most gross physical level being out of position. And that physical blockage on the spine will also then make the energy flow of the Sushumna not flow properly. You know, as we talk about, just with blood, you know, if your blood doesn't flow, you're dead. But it's the same with your chi, and that's what the whole base of acupuncture is. You need the chi to flow, and the Sushumna is the biggest channel of chi. And on it, we've got different chakras, and one of them is the heart chakra. And the heart chakra relates to love, and it relates to our connection with God, our connection with the universe. But it's also our conscience, and deciding what's right and wrong. And sometimes, I think, historically, I often think a lot of problems come about because, especially, I see a lot in English culture, you know, from England, but who migrated to the colonies, they try and get men in particular to be unattached to their heart, so then they can be more easily controlled in the army in particular. And I think a lot of problems have come from that. And that's why I think the whole men don't cry thing has actually evolved, because crying is kind of like cleansing your heart. It's cleansing, you know, crying can be out of joy, crying can be out of sadness. But it's like windscreen wipers cleaning your vision. But the vision is the heart vision. It's that love, vision of love. And if people don't cry, then men don't have to question their authority, particularly when you've got abusive authority trying to manipulate perhaps the lower classes of society to do their dirty work. See that with the colonizations of different countries. And I see it as a problem that still exists. It's passed on from generation to generation in Australia and in America to a certain extent, in Canada and New Zealand. More of the cultures I'm familiar with, but I'm sure it's probably there in Portuguese colonies and all sorts of stuff. Well, it's different. I don't understand that culture very well, but yeah, it's interesting. So that's why I say when people are releasing all this tension that they got to have a non-judgmental frame of mind to whatever's coming up, because emotion and energy can be stored, especially in the abdomen, but the anchor points can be in the toes. So feet tend to be a lot more, when you release the feet, they tend to produce more emotional releases, even than the hands, because those energy lines or bands are coming straight up through the abdomen, where people hold a lot of subconscious tension, but also through the hips, where people hold anger, resentment, frustration. And often anger covers sadness. So you can't release the sadness without releasing the anger. And I've seen it so many times where people, you access the hip tension and people have a huge anger release, they're angry, and all of a sudden it turns to crying.
Really?
Yep. It's like a Oreo cookie, you know, like a Neapolitan ice cream, where you got these layers, or you know, the layers, when you look at the layers of soil in the earth, you know. And I can see it. It's like anger, sadness. And anger is usually a more superficial emotion, because people are angry often because they're sad. Something made them sad or disempowered, you know. Disempowerment's a huge issue as well. But yeah, when you look at why are people angry, you know, they didn't maybe get what they want, or their heart, they were hurt, you know. So in traditional Anglo-Saxon culture, people were just taught to, or men in particular, were just taught to get drunk, you know. You know, it might be other drugs, it might be pharmaceuticals, anti-anxiety, antidepressant. But alcohol's the big one. And then men got, is it 4 point? I think Australia, I don't know what New Zealand is, but Australia, I think New Zealand's higher. I think New Zealand might have 5 times the rate of male suicide than female, and Australia is 4.6. So that's significant, because it's not biological, because it's actually from different countries. Sometimes the rate of male and female suicide is the same. So it's cultural. And I believe that's why, because men aren't able to actually be vulnerable and to feel their heart energy, you know. And to be empowered to go, hey, you know, men are actually taught to be disempowered from the time they're in school. Don't listen to your heart. And if you do, you're a wimp, or you're gay, or you're this or you're that. You know, some form of derogatory kind of judgment on a person for being sensitive or vulnerable or open to their heart. They're taught to close that thing. Be a man. But their definition of manhood is a particular one. And it's a one that can be psychologically controlled. Whereas other cultures, like I like living in Hawaii because of the Polynesian idea of manhood. They can be very strong and powerful, but they can be very open-hearted and loving. And I thought that was super cool. My grandfather committed suicide. Yeah. He's Australian. Suffered from depression, you know.
Mm-hmm.
There's no facilities really to help people like that, you know what I mean? You're supposed to just hide behind this front, this idea of what society, you know, especially, you know, country Australia, you know, tells you what it is to be a man, you know. I mean, you know, you and I were having that conversation even about racism still out in the country, you know. It's like, how stupid is racism? But, you know, there's that whole idea, you know, a very select definition of what it means, and having feelings and vulnerability. But also even going against sometimes conventional ideas or something, you know. They don't want people to be in touch with their heart, because like I always think, you know, when the British Army was invading a country, you kill, regardless of what your heart thinks, you know. And you saw that in Vietnam. I watched this program about winter soldiers. These 18-year-old guys going to Vietnam thinking they were doing the right thing and killing all these people, and then they have a form of PTSD that's kind of moral. They suddenly had to question, you know, it's like, wait a minute. Sure, I thought fighting for my country was right, but killing innocent people, that goes against my heart, you know. So they were really fucked up. Sad. So I think when we're working with people, you know, who've got these different things, it's important just to breathe and to let go and realize that, you know, there's going to be some transformation. Because some of these what I call thought viruses are encased in the person, you know, they're very deep, you know, in the psyche, and actually the false definition of who they are. which is, you know, we're talking about the false ego, not the real ego. So with my dad, it was sad because before, he was an ex-army officer, Australian Army, and it was very hard for him to cry, you know. And if I massaged his belly, you'd keep it all together, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Till my mom died, he cried when my mom died. And he softened right up before he left this world. It was great. It was amazing to see. It was beautiful. But while he was alive, it was very difficult because he held on to the idea of Australian manhood, and especially when you're an army officer, you gotta really keep that, you know. It's a big front, it's a false persona. But I think it leads to a lot of problems, especially for men. I've seen it with women. I call them the nurse matrons who kind of hold things. They're kind of tough women. And, you know, times are changing, of course. So you don't get a jaw a little bit more. Yeah, it's like a totally fucked up part of your jaw there.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, sweetheart. Yeah, you get that kind of click that happens there in the shoulder, yeah?
Yeah.
I think that's connected with your jaw.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The whole thing is really friggin' tight, you know, it's kind of like you can feel it coming up, sort of in this line here, right there.
Right.
I know it's a little bit better than it was yesterday, but it's still
Yeah.
fucking tight, you know?
Yeah.
It comes up here, into that area there. Feel that?
Yeah.
And it's going to then affect your jaw deep in here. Yeah, it's just like, I just don't want to go too hard because I know how painful it is. I had a tight jaw. Am I okay within your thresholds? Yeah. yeah, because you were saying too, you have the jaw, the thing, not that you can talk right now, but. How's that on your ear?
That's okay.
Yeah. It's good, it's letting go of it. Which part? You grew up in Auckland, did you? Which part of Auckland?
Not sure.
Okay, yeah. I used to teach in Browns Bay. Yeah.
It's lovely.
Was it a rough time to grow up, or was it pretty mellow, or?
Yeah, it's kind of mellow.
Good. Trying to figure out where these jaw tensions come from. Is this? Do you feel like you're a person that expresses themselves like freely, or?
No idea. Anger management issues.
Yeah, that's what I'm picking up there. Well, this feels like it's been fucking concretized for a few fucking decades or a while anyway. That's a new word, by the way, concretized. That's all left to go now. Sorry about the Band-Aid feeling. I just... It's like, at least your worries, bro. I'm not sorry about the fucking intense pressure in your jaw, you know? Well, I don't want to overwork it, you know, it's fucking tight. It's loosened up a bit though. You know what? Can you feel this spot right in here too? I feel like that's really tight there.
Yeah.